Looking good, Italian job.
I'm feeling boy, Tommy boy. How feeling boy, Tommy boy. See, this is
Whoa.
what happens. This is what
Call the
happens when you
police.
start off at 0900. This is an early morning start for us. I'm still getting acclimated. I'm feeling good, Tommy boy. That's what I meant to say. How are you, man?
You got me nervous there. It's definitely Friday in your house.
You got that right. I've got the day off. I mean, it's a big deal. You would think I've been drinking since 6, but all I've had is water, I promise.
It's only, you've been drinking since 7. It's cool.
That's
so,
right.
It's Friday. I'm good. We just got a cool email from the Nation's Foundation. There's $40,000 in grant money, fellas. So shout out to Scratch and Win for coordinating that, and highly advise anybody within earshot, start making that list of community impact projects. Let the foundation know and ask for that money. It is there to be used to have impact. What else is going on in the nation, IJ?
Well, I will tell you, this weekend, the nation's SLT is getting together to talk about, where are we going? What's next, and how can we support the local regions? Guys are coming from all over. We have the Weasel Shaker coming in. Spur is coming in from San Antonio. We also have the head of sectors, GMOs, coming in from St. Louis. We also have Beans coming in from St. Louis. We have Bono coming from ENC. Dark Helmet's going to be in town. I'll be there mainly to make sure everyone has food and to make sure that we're staying on track. Got a good thing going, but basically this weekend is an opportunity for us to look through some survey results from your local Nantans and figure out what direction can we go as a nation to support regional growth. So I'm excited about that. So that's what's going on. We've got a newsletter that's going to drop next week. We have shifted our newsletter drop days from Fridays to Mondays. That way we can make sure that we're covering all the material that just came through, like our Q source emails. If you're not on that distribution list, make sure that you click on that. That's something that our tip of the spear lead, Uno, is leading the charge on that, doing a fantastic job with it. And it also lets you know our up-to-date podcast schedules. What was happening is our roundtable discussions and our stuff worth trying stuff was always a week delayed. So if we move that newsletter date to Monday, then we have all the material fresh that dropped on the weekend. So it's kind of the stuff that's going on. We are in Mental Battle Month, so we're going to hear a lot from Drop Thrill about mental battle. And you'll start hearing that on podcasts and see the mental battle workout of the day, the WOD. It's something that we've done for many years, just reminding men that you're not battling alone, that you've got your brothers around you, and that you're there to support each other and love on each other. So that's kind of what's going on in the world from where I see it.
Outstanding. Have a great trip. Those are super productive. We just came back from our Nantan Summit here in Greensboro, went up to Boone last week. Great conversation. Just circled the wagons, locked the shields around our current Nantan Akron to see how we can be supportive of what is on his vision plate. Which, speaking of cool ideas, brings us to today. Fired up to have our guests on today. We are talking Vexicon. You've heard of the Vexicon. You've heard of the lexicon. You've been on the website. You know what it's like trying to figure out what an exercise is, because to know one exercise, you have to know the other 7 exercises. And before you know it, you forgot why you were on F3Nation.com in the first place. These guys have grabbed the bull by the horns. They've created an outstanding tool. It's available on YouTube. We'll get into that. But before we dive too deep, WeedNFeed, Castaway, welcome to Stuff Worth Trying. How are you, fellas?
Hey,
doing great.
Yeah, excellent. We'll start with WeedNFeed. We'll call you out as we see you on our Brady Bunch screen. WeedNFeed, give us your name and Rama, and how did you wind up with that handle?
Yeah, so WeedNFeed, I actually wasn't named in my home region. What happened, I was doing the Blue Ridge Relay with some colleagues at work, and I saw all these guys with F3 shirts passing me on the trail.
Yeah.
And at some point I had to ask, what is this F3 thing? So I found out, I looked on, tried to find a workout near me, and I ended up going to the wrong region, just over the line next door. So I can talk about those guys at Carpex who gave me my name, but they were asking about my work, and I said I do ag research, discovery, fungicides and that sort of thing. And all they could think of ag products was WeedNFeed. That was it. Scott's turf builder. I don't do anything with that, but that's the name I wound up with, and people often just shorten it to Weed. So that's me.
Well done. Castaway, how about you, man? Namarama, how'd you get your name?
All right. So Neil's Patel, 47, Castaway. I got my name Castaway. It's a really long story. It's because I'm from Wilson. The end. It's like, that's it.
Page one.
So
that's a great story.
Yeah.
No volleyballs, no I have made fire, just you're from a city away, huh?
Nope. In fact, my first workout, there was a guy named Malware there, and his name is Malware because he works at Cisco's in the IT industry. And I was like, damn, that is a cool name. And so the whole time I kept talking about what I do because I'm in IT, and none of that transpired into anything. We got into the COT and they're like, oh, okay, so what do you do? I'm like, yeah, I just kept talking about what I did. And then finally somebody's like, where are you from? And I was like, Wilson. And they're like, Castaway.
Wow. Yeah, sometimes things fire and it works and it's really great. And then sometimes it's been a long workout. People are tired. And I don't know what any of that stuff means, but I know that Wilson's the name of the volleyball on Castaway. Let's call him Castaway. Yeah, that checks. That checks out. That makes sense.
So you guys are both out of the Churham region. We connected recently. Well, not too long ago, just because you had a great idea. And then next thing I know, I'm getting the email saying that idea has come to fruition. So today's a little bit about sharing the idea, but also asking for some assistance from the greater F3 Nation to keep building the idea out as you see it and as you've dreamed it up. So without further ado, let's dive into the Vexicon. Either of you can take the question. Give us that 35,000 foot view of what it is.
All right, I'll take a stab at it, and Castaway can correct all my mistakes. But it was really started as just kind of a small side project a couple of years ago. It was inspired by the Vexicon, which you mentioned earlier, which for the new guys, that's on F3 Nation's website. It's just a big repository of websites, and we all know that F3 has its own vocabulary. And the exercises, that it's especially so, right? Even things as simple as a jumping jack, we got to rename it. Push up, got to rename it. So Merkins, you show up to your first workout and they're calling Merkins. Like, what is a Merkin?
Which, don't Google that. Don't Google that. Not
too
suitable
late
for work.
Don't
Google it. Go to the Vexicon. Don't Google it. Go to the Vexicon. Right.
Don't Google it at home. Google it on the work computer.
Only right, not a good idea. Don't listen to Tommy Boy. Bad news bears. Right. On WeedNFeed.
No, but yeah, I mean, that's, you show up, you start to pick up the lingo after a little while, but it's a barrier. But it's, I think, really a barrier when you're the one leading the workout. Your first, your VQ, you show up and you're trying to prepare. Really, like I think a lot of guys don't even sleep the night before their first work, which is funny. It's pretty low stakes, really. People are there to support you. People are friendly, but it's a stressful experience preparing for your first workout. So the idea was to bring down that barrier, make a visual Vexicon, hence the V for Victor in front of Vexicon. So for those visual learners, you can learn how to do the exercises, learn how to count them. And instead of reading about it, which can be challenging depending on who wrote the description in the Vexicon, you can just see someone doing it and you can learn it fast. So that was the big idea.
A Castaway question for you. When you first posted, not your first cue, but you seem like an organized guy. Like, I want to know what I'm getting myself into, maybe. Did you watch any videos online? Like, what is this F3 thing that I hear about? And seeing it visually, does that help you?
Yeah, 100%. In fact, when I first heard, or the EH that actually got me was I had gone out for a run early in the morning in my neighborhood, and this guy, I now know him as Cosmo, but he's bald, white dude, stocky looking, and I think it was foggy outside, and so it was even more menacing. But he had on like a sweatshirt, and he was sweating through his sweatshirt, and he's like, "Hey, you're running this early in the morning, join us." I was like, sure. And I ran to the other side of the street, and so my wife had been hearing a lot about F3. Truly, my wife is the person who actually EH'd me into F3. But after that experience, I was like, okay, I should probably start doing something because my knees are starting to hurt. And so I started looking at F3, and the first thing I did was go and look for any videos I could find that's how I personally consume information. I go for the video first, and then I'll read, because typically videos do a really good job of summarizing. And so that, and a little bit of meditation later, I went out to my first one.
Awesome. Hey, Tommy boy, when we think of Vexicon, how can we bang that drum to let the guys know that the Vexicon exists, how to get into it? What do you know about it? Because you mentioned these guys kind of reached out to you a while ago, and WeedNFeed mentioned this was kind of a couple years in the making, but how do we point guys towards the Vexicon? Where do we get there? How do we get to it?
Yeah, it's a super handy tool. I mean, just like you guys said, it's not about overthinking it. It's just putting it out there in a simple way. We hop on YouTube, right? If you're not familiar with YouTube, find a millennial, I guess, and ask them to put it on your phone. Yeah, but you guys have already started filling it with great content. The F3 Vexicon channel, I'm subscribed. I smashed that like button. I rang that bell. So every time you drop new content, I'm alerted to it. I've actually used it in bringing up a VQ last week. So I directed the guy to it. He had some questions about some of the different opportunities, and we used your Swerkin. And so shout out to you guys for the Swerkin demonstration. And I hate both of you for even putting that on the Vexicon, because we did a lot of Swerkin. My core felt it. It was almost one of those days where I had to call my M into the bathroom and help me up off the toilet. So
Almost.
Job well done. But yeah, what else would you say as far as directing guys? What do you hope their experience is once they log in and subscribe to your channel?
I think I hope it unifies the F3 nation. I think something that's been fun is when we have guys visit from other regions. Like we had some guys up from Louisiana recently, Alabama, and they show up, and they, near the end of the workout, the Q decided to ask them for a weird exercise that was unique to their region. And we learned a couple interesting ones. And it's just it's fun. You have your regional things you're proud of, but we can learn about what each other call things, what we do. And again, like you mentioned at the beginning, that idea that we're not fighting this battle alone. There's a big community out there, people together. I hope that's a big thing that comes out of it.
So,
yeah, I mean, like I said, it helped right out of the jump. So the tool works. The toolbox is open for everybody to take a part in. Go ahead, IJ.
I was just going to say, you guys are a good sized region. You get a lot going on, but if a region from somewhere else says, "Hey, we don't call them," let me think of one. We call them bomb jacks. You guys call them star jumps. But there's some regions that have something that's got their local flavor on it. And if they want to get it out there, even if it's not in the Vexicon, but they're like, "Hey, we got this thing down in South Louisiana we want to show you guys." I'm sorry, South Louisiana, or however they say it. How do they get that into the Vexicon? Can they record and upload? What's the steps to take if a guy wants to get something into the Vexicon that's not currently there?
Yeah. So, one way, if it's already on there and you just have a different name, you're welcome to throw that in the comments and say anything snarky you want in the comments. I love it. But if there is, if you want to submit a video, we actually have an open Google Drive and some instructions on how to make a video, how to upload it. And so really it's just a matter of reaching out to us. We'll put in the show notes contact info. We have an email address and a way to reach out. But also the F3 Nation Slack channel, we're on there, so you can reach out that way too. So we certainly have mechanisms. And, there's over 700 exercises in the Vexicon, and I think it's not even, that's not including everything that's not in the Vexicon, right? Every region's inventing their own things every day. So we only have 75 videos on the Vexicon so far, so we got a long way to go. So it's absolutely a community effort, and we welcome people submitting videos. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's a handy platform. I think a lot of the guys who have spent some time in F3 have seen the old school Dread No BT Merkin video, for example.
Yeah, right.
It's very, very similar. I would imagine that you're not wearing a weight vest from what I've seen, and it's not pouring down rain. But the idea is
that's behind the paywall.
Got it.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
That's the OnlyFans page of F3 that we won't speak
Oh.
of.
That's right.
Oh, no.
Just feet videos and merkins, fellas. Just feet videos and merkins. Yeah, I love the idea that you guys have opened this up to give everybody the opportunity to contribute, because you're right. The regional exercises, especially the routines, right? We're going to do, here in Greensboro, we created one we called the Captain Thurkin, right? And everywhere I go, if I have the chance, I'll bust out the Captain Thurkin for the Mary. And it's always a blast because it sucks, right? And then when I go to places like Asheville, they've got some routines that are just dynamite. I can't wait to get back home and sign up to Q again. So fanning that fire, there's another Castaway joke for you. Fanning that fire, get back to your region, it's just fun. And so taking this to the next level and broadcasting it around the globe via YouTube is just a smart move. What components, if any, are you missing, and what would you ask of the packs?
Well, I think one thing that I wouldn't say it's missing. It could probably be better, mostly for WeedNFeed's sake. It's a lot of the editing. Well, all of the editing happens by WeedNFeed, right? So I'm there to help take videos, but afterwards they're in his hands, and when he has time, he edits them and then loads them up, right? Uploads them. And so I think the editing is probably what takes the most time. And so if we can get out maybe a formula for how we want the edits to happen, right? So it'll probably, we want the actual workout video to be X seconds. We want you to have the splash screen in the beginning. We want you to have a splash screen at the end. If we can figure that out, that would be wonderful.
Yeah, and that's what's great about these conversations, right? Because there's guys out here that just heard that ask. They're like, oh, I know exactly how to do that. I know how I can upload to this Google Drive of yours, the 3-second video stinger at the beginning and the trailer at the end, and here you go. So guys, the ask has been put out there. We have an opportunity to grow this Vexicon together. And we're going to include, like you said, in the show notes, we've got the YouTube platform and we've got your guys' contact information, which is perfect. This is what I love about F3. One guy asks for something and everybody comes rallying. Yeah, go ahead, Castaway.
Yeah, we do have one. We do have another ask, and WeedNFeed, please feel free to jump in after this one. But he and I have been talking about this year. Our goal is to get us to 1,000 subscribers. I'm not exactly sure where we're at right now. Do you know?
Over 300 now. Yeah,
over 300. Okay. Yeah. So we want to get to 1,000. I'll be honest about it. We want to monetize it, not for ourselves, but so that we can take that money and put it back into F3. We want to. So Churham is a really large region, right? It's made up of 4 sub-regions, and there's tons of guys. Like our Slack channel, our Slack has, I think, like 1,600 guys on it, right?
Yeah.
Wow. Not all active, but it's a ton of guys. And so you can imagine any second F, third F event that we want to do, it requires a little cash, right? And there's a group of us who usually, donate to whatever we're doing. But if we had something rolling in from YouTube and the ad, revenue that comes through, it's very little. But if we had some of that come through, we can not only help our own region out, but we can reach out to our surrounding regions and figure out a way to advertise to men who haven't heard about F3, because I haven't met anybody that joined F3 and came back a second day and admit that it didn't change their life a year later, right? It's like 100%, everybody's 100% better.
For the guys,
is it true that you guys are still paying? Go ahead, IJ. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, for the guys who aren't going to click on the show notes because it's too much work. It's not, but let's say that's too much work. I literally went into the YouTube machine and typed in F3 Vexicon, and at the very top, you can go to home and you can see there's a shovel flag that says Vexicon, and a subscribe right next to it. That's it. You can subscribe. Okay. So we now have 301 subscribers. It's that simple, guys. You can YouTube and type in F3 Vexicon and hit the subscribe button. That way we can get this thing out in front of more people. The more visibility, the better it can be for everybody. So
that's right. And then someone can Google
WeedNFeed,
Merkin and it won't be as embarrassing, right? Yeah,
that's
exactly.
What is that guy wearing?
Right.
Is it true that WeedNFeed, is it true that you guys are still paying out $100 for everybody that subscribes?
It's 100 pesos.
Right.
Got it.
Colombian pesos.
Right.
Anything else you want to add, WeedNFeed, as far as an ask, a need, or a celebration for the packs?
Yeah, it's certainly a celebration of a Castaway here. I had the idea, but it would have fallen apart a long time ago if he hadn't been there encouraging. He's slacking me before a workout, like, "Hey, should we make another video after this workout?" And so it was really the boost I needed to keep this thing going. He's the great man behind all this, the high impact man. So that I wanted to say. The other thing is, that idea of having this channel as a perpetual fundraiser to feed into, these grants for F3 Nation. I think that's a cool topic. Service projects that we're always raising money for things. I think just if this could be a perpetual source of that, I think it'd be really cool. But that's really a secondary goal. And what we mentioned at the beginning, the primary goal, just lowering barriers, making it easier to cue and step up and lead. That's the real goal of this thing.
Yeah, let's drive it up there, fellas. As you hear this, go ahead and hop over to YouTube and click the button. Smash the like button, as the kids like to say, because it makes a difference. Once the eyeballs are there, then the ads can sell themselves, and the support can come into the foundation, to the Churham efforts, so on and so forth. So it's the gift that keeps on giving, Clark.
Yeah, and send in your videos so you don't have to keep watching WeedNFeed myself doing exercises. I mean, I'm sure that's going to get tiring.
Yeah. That's going to be my favorite part, is to see what the nation steps up and sends you guys. Is because that's going to be a blast to cut through and see what guys are doing. Rather than trying to figure out how to get to Asheville and bring home an exercise, they're going to bring it to you. So it's going to be a blast. Nothing against Asheville. I love the times I post there. So, fellas, thanks for coming on the show, chatting it up a little bit. It's always good to have these conversations to see what fellas are up to, what's going on in their brains. You guys have been working hard at this. My tip of the cap to you for your hard work paying off, and let's grow the crowd. Italian Job, anything from you, my friend?
I have two things. One, I know that Saturday there's a big game, so I have to ask the Churham boys. WeedNFeed, are you a Carolina fan or a Duke fan?
Carolina. I got to go Tar Heels all the way.
All right, Castaway, are you a Duke man or a Carolina man?
100% Carolina.
Okay, well, we're all on the right page. That's all that I had to say.
Right.
Exactly.
Well, I hate to tell you guys, but I am not going to upload this episode. So.
Right, yeah.
We have outnumbered Tommy Boy. Hey, Tommy Boy, this morning at my queue, I had a statement, and if you don't mind, I'd like to share kind of a thought that I have, which ties in this video, oddly enough. There's a 4-letter word that has dashed more dreams and held back more potential than any other. That 4-letter word is just. You're just not my type. You're just not smart enough for this class. Just quit now and save yourself the embarrassment. You're not tall. You're just not tall enough. You're just not fast enough for the team. You're just not college material. It's just a video. It's just a video. They said Jesus was a carpenter from a nowhere town. They said his followers were just fishermen and outcasts, just the way that people try to hold you back. It's a word that people say that is very rarely followed with a positive attribute. So don't let other people tell you what you can and what you can't be. Just do it. Just upload the video, because it might be just a video to some, but for others, it's an opportunity and a springboard for their leadership. It's their chance to step up and be more than just Steve in accounting. This is an opportunity for Steve in accounting to become the leader he was meant to be, just because of the video.
I
love it.
Right.
That sounds great.
Let's go run through walls, fellas. F3 Nation, be good or be good at it. Thank you, gentlemen.
Appreciate you,
Take
man.
care.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys. This was fun. Appreciate it.